And Jim, you're going to love, one of your favorite people is also stepping in soon, Kathy Dong. So what Jake just mentioned is we have some teens who have been on GIFT before, initially with their own individual presentations. And then slightly under a year ago, when we were all, over a year ago, when we were all grappling with the state of the world, specifically meaning COV, there was much discussion about how to move the educational experience forward, not just out of stall, but it was in free fall across the world. There was no plan, there was no ability to do anything really but Zoom. And God bless Zoom, because that's where we are now, and it opens the world back up. But while we at GIFT were thinking about how we might be able to help serve young people, GIFT was the first invention, which, with gratitude to Jake and Julie Shively for having that vision, the platform existed. And a thought I had was, why are we older people trying to brainstorm what young people might need? And as Jim just mentioned, I've been in this space for 30, 40 years, but I'm not a teenager. So my thought was, let's ask some teenagers if they would please tell us their insights and their experience, because we will better be able to solve the problems if the teenagers in the classroom, which has just been closed, can tell us what they're experiencing and what they need. That was the genesis of what became the first teen panel. And initially it was 6 teenagers from 5, 6 different countries. And we simply asked them in the first panel to describe to each other and us, but to each other, their experience in the classroom before COVID, and then their experience after COVID, so that we as educators and supporters world over could learn what their experiences were. And the participating countries included China and Canada and India and the US and England, and not just for us, but so also young people could be talking to each other. That was the genesis of the teen panel. And these wonderful young students who had never met until this opportunity, they started a conversation, they educated us, they came back with some suggestions on how education could proceed even under the lockdown of COVID worldwide. And then we asked them, will you please come back and tell us some more suggestions, what's working, what's not. And they also have experienced and modeled some great decisions in prioritization. The original panel was 6 students, and over time, some of them have opted out of meeting again because they understand and honor the fact that their school exam schedule is their priority as young people, and GIFT is an add-on, it's a voluntary thing. So the panel has changed over time. We started with 6, then we had 5, then we went back to 6, but each time they have further discussed with each other and kept us apprised of the changing landscape of education through COVID. And they have offered that it is critical and vital to listen to young people, because they're in the chair. We're fond of saying, young people are our future, and they are, but their futures today, they're living it. And we have essentially lost a year of traditional education, which is both good and bad. So today we have 2 of the original panelists, and that also models that when you have a team, sometimes the team can all come, sometimes they can't. And that is why you have a team, so they can continue to keep the baton going and moving forward. And today they have directed their own decision of what they'll be talking about. They've taken lead, and they will talk further about this COV education situation and potentially what they would like to see of teen panels moving forward, because the most exciting thing that I heard in all of the discussions, and the teen panel has met 3 times, was the fact that they want to involve more teens, more countries, and have this actually be something that continues to grow and expand, just like Jim Bruner's that you just heard his presentation. It needs to keep growing and expanding to involve more countries, more students, because it is worldwide. We started with 6, and it needs to be bigger, and they will possibly share some thoughts on that. So today we have Samyak is lead, and then Kathy Dong, and they are the original panelists in their, what I believe will be fourth meeting. And they're in lead on this one, so I will turn it over to Samyak, and we will also share questions as they come in with the teens. When they come in via chat, we'll probably pop in and share them with the crew. So with that, Jake, does that help give some background? I'm going to assume yes, and I'm going to welcome Sam. If you can turn on your mics, introduce yourselves, and we are prepared to be amazed and astounded and hear your vision.
So hi everyone, welcome to another session of the Global Teen Panel, where teens from around the world engage in a collaborative, interactive problem-solving experience addressing some of the most prominent issues our world faces. So I'm extremely excited for today's session, so let's get right into it. So today we have two of the teens from the panel, myself and Kathy. And Kathy, I think we can start off by giving a brief 1-minute introduction, our name, our country, and something we liked about last session. So I can start. Hi everyone, I'm Samyak Shrimali. I'm from the United States of America. And last session, I was extremely motivated to continue the butterfly effect of doing good. And I really hope to have another meaningful discussion today.
Hey, thank you, Samyak and Sherilyn. Hey everyone, my name is Kathy. I am from Toronto, Canada, actually. And I'm so excited to be back on this team panel, probably my fourth team panel already. And I loved seeing the evolution, how far we've come along with the team panel. And I'm super glad that last time we tried something new, and I really liked our format last time that we tried something new and we brainstormed and also involved our audience into our conversation. And super excited for this one. So, hey everyone.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So Kathy, do you want to start off by explaining the Jamboard and quickly pulling that up?
Yeah, sure. So, sorry, this might take a little bit. Last time we tried out a different format where we were experimenting with a new virtual tool that's going to help us bring all of the amazing and innovative ideas to the table, and it's going to be with a visual representation. So today we will also be using a Jamboard, which will be pulling up very soon, but please bear with me, my laptop is a little bit slow. And so how the Jamboard works is I and Samyak, we will be adding sticky notes with our ideas to the page. And we will also capture your amazing ideas and feedback onto our Jamboard as well. And so the Jamboard is going to be organized by the topics that we will be exploring today, and I will share my screen with all of you. So we will also be using the text box feature to add text, the shapes feature to add a variety of shapes, including arrows and squares, and also a pen tool for drawing when needed. I will start a new Jamboard this time. That's going to be a different file from last time. And I think we can get our conversation started in the meantime while I set this up.
Yeah, so that sounds great. So as we talked about last time, I think we can continue our discussion on education and COVID-19, and we can also relate that to summer education, because I think COVID-19 has really affected a lot of young children during this summer break, summer vacation time, especially in the United States, and I know in Canada also, as many young people actually love going to summer camps and summer classes. And I think with COVID-19, I think these classes, these camps are virtual, and I think they're really making the students adjust into a new environment. So we can continue our discussion.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I agree that the summer has also been very, very different. And I guess the good thing is that this is probably our second summer already with the COVID-19 pandemic. So a lot of our programs are adjusted to the virtual setting already. And I think I still see that kind of transition from in person to virtual still after almost probably more than a year of being in the pandemic. Um, and yeah, so uh, definitely the virtual setting poses some challenges for students who are wanting to go to these summer programs or used to go when they were in person. Um, and yeah, Samyak, back to you.
Yeah, so I think most summer programs have actually switched to this virtual platform extremely well, as I think a lot of them have transferred what they had in person and extended this to a virtual platform. Like I know for some science camps and some like environmental camps, what they've done is they've um, used pre-recorded videos and pre-recorded lessons, and they've displayed those lessons and videos in this virtual platform, like on Zoom by screen sharing or by just displaying this type of these videos on like a virtual platform. And I think the good thing about that is students still get that same exposure and they get that same feeling that they're really attending a summer course or a summer lesson, while additionally having the opportunity to connect with the instructors, connect with other students on this virtual platform, and not really missing out on a lot of they're missing out on some of the things that would happen in in-person environment, but they're not missing out on um, as much of like what they should have missed out on.
Yeah, I agree. I believe I had kind of a similar experience to what Sam and I were talking about. Um, I recently attended, I guess, kind of like a leadership conference, and this is, I believe, either the second or first year transitioning to a virtual platform, and I was very impressed by how well it transitioned. There were workshops, there were pre-recorded videos and workshops, and many of the workshops were live on Zoom with Q&A and amazing panelists as well. And I believe definitely all the experience, the information was there, but also a big part of that event was networking with others, meeting new people, and talking to them. Even though it wasn't the same as in person where you could just uh, walk around and talk to everyone and learn about each other that way, there was a great addition that I saw on the platform they were using, where there is actually a community feature where you could talk to people with like interests through different. It's like different chats for a specific topic, and I thought that was quite interesting. And the other one was just you can message anyone on the platform from the event, of course, and you could just talk to them and message them. And that was, I think, a great alternative to the in-person kind of networking experience. However, a lot of us did agree that it wasn't kind of, I guess, as fun as in person would be, because you're kind of missing that, you're missing a bit of the experience that way. But I would agree that all the information and a lot of the experience was transitioned to virtual pretty perfectly.
Yeah, so I didn't take any summer courses or summer classes this year. I'm going to take some, but actually last year I took calculus at my school, and they offered this summer course to really skip over this class the next year and just take it during the summer and learn it fully during the summer. So with that class, I think since it was the first year of COVID, and what they did was essentially they had 2-hour sessions for a month, and they had 2-hour sessions each day. And in that 2-hour sessions, we had 50 minutes of learning and then 10 minutes break time where you can engage and talk to your classmates, talk to your teacher, and then another 1 hour of learning. So I think what really happened with that, and I think what really happens with other academic courses or classes during the summer is mostly in this digital platform, students are still learning the same material. And I think most students are really adapting to this platform and adapting to this new learning style pretty well. And they're doing pretty well in their classes. And I think for academic and these type of courses, I think the digital platform doesn't really have that big of an effect as it might with like a leadership club or a leadership conference or something that is more collaborative and more needed for others to engage together on.
Yeah, definitely. I believe a lot of the students, after a lot of time on the virtual platform and studying courses, academic courses, we do have a lot of experience now, and we've kind of developed the skills needed to be kind of at home, with staring at a screen and learning that way, because that does need set of skills compared to actually in person, because a lot of the schedules are different. The way that teachers teach you are different. And I believe overall you get more kind of independent time to work and to kind of study by your own. And without kind of your teacher being by your side and answering your questions right away. And that was definitely a shift at the beginning of the pandemic, but now I think a lot of the students are very used to it. The the idea of virtual school actually. I just got the Jamboard set up, and I'll be sharing my screen very shortly if that'll be okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. This is the Jamboard tool that we're going to be using, and I will be adding all of our ideas that we talked about just right now onto this Jamboard.
Yeah, so I think we had a great discussion there, and so to really extend this discussion, what do you think are some problems that current summer courses or summer classes that are virtualized due to this COVID-19 pandemic face?
Yeah, so I think for me, I'm also taking summer school courses right now, and I would say one of the things is that because of this virtual setting, it's a lot harder for the teachers to, I guess, help the students. For me, my summer school, it is an e-learning summer school, so we have a lot of students in one class. It is a lot more than what we are used to. So the teachers are with a lot of different students, and in my summer school, the format is a lot like the teachers do a quick overview of the day, of the tasks and what we need to study. And a lot of the work is done by ourselves, which requires a lot of kind of independent learning. And that was, I guess, very different from the traditional summer school that we were used to, where the teachers just taught live lessons, and we were learning that way. But in this setting, we were it's a lot of it was up to us to learn. So I feel like it's definitely a lot more difficult when you're only digesting kind of the material on your own and also completing the assignments. The teachers are available a lot of times for emails, and you can ask some questions to your email, but it is a very different experience, I would say, from if you're in a virtual, if you're if you're in like a live classroom and you could just ask your teacher right away what your question was. So I think that, first of all, kind of takes away a bit of the learning experience, and also a little more confusion on the way if you're to have a question and it's a little harder to reach your teacher in this new setting. So I think that would be the biggest thing that I have experienced so far. And of course, with kind of social interactions with your peers, it is you're also missing a lot of it because you're kind of just on your own, and not a lot of collaborative work, teamwork with your peers either for the assignments. So definitely, I would say the virtual setting, a lot of it is up to you. So.
Samyak and Kathy, this is Sherilyn. I have a question while you're thinking through this summer. Traditionally, summer is kind of the respite that teachers and students and families have from your traditional, school year. Summers, and it's the time you get to run around physically, you get to be more companioned with people. It's kind of that break you need from a 9-month or 10-month in classroom, hardcore learning. And what you spoke about this last time, 3 months ago, some of the difficulties that you were identifying with virtual school were the soft difficulties, meaning depression, isolation, not being able to, our panelist from China, Natalie, she referenced not being able to physical activity, things like that. And I'm wondering, in the various countries, it's somewhat lockdown, no lockdown, middle of lockdown. But I'm wondering if you have ideas or suggestions to introduce somehow into the summer quadrant of time, some of those suggestions that will give that respite a break. Because if we continue down the road, and I just would like your thoughts on this, of 12 months of the same type of virtual, not moving, then you're missing, that respite from what's, considered, I would call it maybe full-on learning versus a couple months of less structured, more play, more imagination, more community. So do you think in your countries you will have some in-person in summer? And if not, how do we address that in summer? Because if not, you've got no comma in the drama, if you will. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, so I definitely agree that the summer period is more of a time to really relax and really rejuvenate and really gain more energy to really focus on the next school year. So right now in my country, in the US, things are beginning to really down back and go back to normal. And most summer camps have actually changed from the virtual setting to a more in-person setting. Like, I know a lot of the sports and recreational camps have really changed themselves into from being more virtual and students exercising or playing sports in a virtual environment to in-person settings where there's safe social distancing, or students are required to wear masks or other protective equipment. And they can use that environment to really exercise and get that summer experience with other students and get that healthy balance too.
I have a question. Hi, I'm Marcy Klein, by the way. I'm based in Connecticut in the United States. So, obviously going day one of COVID, all of a sudden all the schools are closed, like massive shift in everything we've experienced up until that date. But I'm thinking that that's a perfect opportunity also to like completely strip away everything that we think about education and recreate it from the ground up in a new way. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that you've taken from the last year of experience of all these trial and error, trying to figure out the right way to educate remotely. Is there anything that you feel has like really blossomed and come out of this whole experience that you think would be amazing to bring back into the classroom next year or whenever we go live again?
Thank you so much for the question. For me personally, as for my experience in kind of this new virtual setting at school, there has been kind of, and also talking with my friends and listening to their experiences, I think for us, we kind of also at the same time enjoyed kind of the independence of staying at home and having our own schedule of doing stuff and not just being in a school setting where you just had to stick with the schedule. You had to eat lunch at this time. You had to go outside for recess at this time. And there was less restriction in kind of, and we did enjoy our time at home where we were a lot more free to do whatever we wanted to do at what time we wanted to do. That was definitely kind of a benefit from the virtual school, but I would say at the same time, without this, the structure and the schedule, I feel like it's been hard for me as well to be very motivated in that because I didn't have a lot of structure and schedule in that way. I just had to go to class on time, and when class ends, I'm free to do whatever I want. And in that time, because I'm not at school and there's not that schedule, that forces me to either, take some time to go outside and do physical activities or take some time to finish my homework. There's not kind of that push for me to do those things, which is why I think without schedule, I'm not having a lot of motivation to complete a lot of things. So there's kind of a positive side and a negative side to that. But I think definitely having kind of more freedom and a little of freedom for students to do what they think is best for them in at whatever time they want. It might be something that we should let students do in the future, even when we're back to school, because it also kind of does practice our self-discipline, responsibility, all those skills. And it gives us an opportunity to plan what we want to do in a day while having to complete all of the responsibilities that we have to complete, all the tasks we have to complete, and yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting points that you brought up, and I'm just thinking about how to digest what you're saying. And one thing that I think is very interesting that I thought about while you were discussing that is that I'm a pediatrician, by the way. I see lots and lots and lots of kids, and I also have 2 of my own. And I think that having that a year of opportunity to be forced into some self-discipline also layers out the type of person that you are. Some students really thrive on that independence and the self-discipline. Like my son and like my daughter, she falls apart without that structure and that continuity of the day and not knowing what has to happen when. And I think that in some ways that's almost a good experience for youth to go through at maybe not at the younger age necessarily, but at your age, because when you're picking careers and when you're picking even colleges, that gives you an opportunity to understand who you are as a learner and as a potential worker. So there are careers and there are colleges that require a lot of, like, you know, this is what your day is going to be like. You're going to be in a cubicle and this is what you're going to be doing all day. And then there's something like entrepreneurship where you really need to be self-disciplined. So I think even though it was a very painful and torturous way to get there, I think some of those experiences that your age group had an opportunity to experience can translate into what kind of person what kind of life you want to live and how you are and how you learn and how you work. So I think that that's a great opportunity to learn that about yourself, where in a normal school day, you would have never really had that opportunity to explore.
Yeah, definitely. So I think another thing that I really appreciated and liked about online school and digital school is that teachers really, at least at my school, teachers really focused on the creativity of students more. I think more than regular in-person school. As in my experience, we didn't have final exams this year, and instead of final exams, what we had was a final project, either that be making a video about something that you learned this year, or making an art project, a poster. And I think that was really amazing for students who really like to use their creativity, their creative side, their artistic side more. And I think that's something I would really love to see in our school environment, is really putting that focus on students' creative side, their artistic side, and something that helps them to grow other than just memorizing facts or learning mathematical equations.
I think that's brilliant. Absolutely. 100%. I really don't think that they get enough agency. They're so forced to study and memorize all the data that they need to get the good grade, that they might be losing that opportunity to learn what they want to learn and really be excited about learning and kind of go off in their own directions. So that idea of a final project, I mean, I can almost imagine you might have done a poster, somebody else might have sang a song or done a video. I mean, it allows you to learn what you need to learn, but in the way you want to learn it and express it the way you want. And I think that I'm hoping that some of that agency comes back into the classroom with you guys next year.
And I think also, Samyak, what you've just identified, you know, and Marcy, is testing needs to change, because as we all learn, you know, my early years were education of the exceptional child and youth, exceptional both ways, exceptional gifted, exceptional challenged, meaning autism, Asperger's, things like that, which addresses, you know, how people learn. And that's the one leg of the stool. But perhaps as we go back, might there be a way to, I'll challenge you to think of a new means to test. Because if we can define how young people learn, then we should be able to test them in a way that addresses how they learn. You know, the book learning, there's hands-on, there's visual, and is there a way, and might you be able to suggest, just as you just gave the example, Samyak, of, you know, testing, traditional tests went out the window and it was a project. So I guess I have a 2-point question. Is your feeling, and are you hearing that it will go back? Or are we at a place where now's the time? And to use one of your phrases, Samyak, when we very first met several teen panels ago, you used a phrase that I've repeated many times to people. And I said, Samyak said, we need to do this. We can't wait for educators. We can't wait for our parents. We can't wait for government. We need to do it. So can you, would you, how would you recommend building out the testing part of it that needs to change as well?
Yeah, so I definitely agree that there's a lot with this testing system that we have in most schools that needs to be changed. That because I think everyone is wired in a different way, right? Because everyone learns through different strategies, learns through a different everyone has a different learning style. Essentially, no one is no one really learns in the same way, in the exact same way as someone else, because everyone would prefer to learn in everyone would prefer to learn in a different way if they could in school. And I think that's one place where this education system that we have in schools goes wrong, because maybe some students prefer to read their material and some students prefer to listen to their material from their teachers. And in school, I think what we should create is more of a diverse learning experience for all students. So instead of only teaching through either lessons, or instead of only teaching through books or other written materials, teachers should really focus on teaching through a variety of sources, like maybe teaching through assigning a video making project or assigning something related to music to really change the students, or really help the students explore their interests more in these diverse areas and these diverse fields that would really help increase their overall growth, not only their educational growth or their like connotative mindset, but increase their whole mindset as a whole, essentially encouraging them to have a growth mindset towards any problems they face, while also focusing on their creative side and their creative abilities.
So is that something that you think can be worked on? Because one of the phrases that I really hate hearing is when we go back. And I don't want to go back. I want to take everything we've learned from you all and need to continue to learn to incorporate the good parts. So I guess my question is, we're in the summer now, and can you briefly describe what you believe with the information you have? I know it's a dynamic world, but what is being put out there in your two countries look like? Because in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania in the US, where I am, the model that they worked through was they sent letters to parents around January the 1st of the year and surveyed, if we open schools, will you go? Will you send your kids? Just to get a baseline of even if schools do open completely, will parents send kids the whole time and whatnot? And from your viewpoint, I guess just real briefly, what do you think it's going to look like in September? And what do you recommend it look like? Brick and mortar, virtual, hybrid? What do you think?
I guess I can start this one off. So in Canada, right now, we have gotten a few letters from our school board, or specifically in the Toronto District School Board. And so hearing about kind of their rough plans for September. So from looking at the letters, it looks like we're going, they do plan for most of the students to go back to in-person school, because a lot of the youths are being vaccinated. A lot of the youths 12 and up are being vaccinated right now. And they are trying to kind of accelerate the process of vaccinating everyone from ages 12 and up. And so this year we had kind of a quadmester system where we split the school year into 4 different semesters, and in each semester we had 2 courses. And so the plan for next year, however, is that we're going to go back to kind of the semester model, where we learn the school year split into 2 semesters, and we're going to learn kind of 4 courses for each semester. However, we're going to be in cohorts again. So I think that means that we're going to be taking 2 courses in 1 week and another 2 courses in another week, and that's going to be alternating like that. And there is going to be a virtual option as well. However, this year, a lot of the students who took virtual, it was kind of very separated from their homeschool. It was organized by the school board, and you're placed centrally with a lot of students from other schools actually into a classroom, I would say. And basically, the students were very separated from the school, their home school, and very separated from kind of the events their homeschool were hosting, the extracurricular activities, and all of that. So this year, actually, next year, we're all going to be back with our homeschool, and even the virtual option will be with homeschool teachers, and so not as separated from the homeschool. And I think that was kind of a big change from what we had this year. And I think the school board and all of the educators are also kind of trying to listen to the students. We had a student kind of trustee council where they held meetings and listened to students what they had to say about kind of their experience this year and what they want to see next year. And I believe they kind of made a lot of changes based on that. And I believe next year the transition is going to be a lot smoother as well.
Yeah, so in my state, in Oregon, actually, if anyone is within the age limit and wants a vaccine, they can receive a vaccine. So what my school has done is that they've already informed us that next year, most likely, about 99% sure, that everyone is going to transition back into this normal school environment that we had before COVID-19. And with that, I think that's a pretty good choice, considering most, at least 90+% of the student community and the student board really wanted to transition from this digital environment where it was a little bit more difficult to socially engage with your teachers, and transfer back into that regular learning environment where you're face to face with other students and face to face with teacher and student. And I think overall that this is a great opportunity for the school in general to really integrate some changes or some things that they've liked from online school, like allowing the ability for students to pursue their creative side, and allowing students to really engage in other ways that might have not been considered the norm in previous years. So I think overall this is a great opportunity for schools, and especially like the school board, to really make some changes, make some improvements to the current school system, while also slowly transitioning our lives back to the social norm.
I think that's wonderful. And the key is the word you used, which is opportunities. So I wonder if each of you could share your thoughts on how we don't miss this opportunity, because it's human nature to slip back to what is known and comfortable sometimes. So what do we need to do to not lose the inspiration, the knowledge, the information that we've gained, and just go back to status quo? And how do you think we can ensure that happens? I'm thrilled that students, Kathy, as you referenced, were listened to and asked their opinions and things. But how do we make sure that continues, or at least position ourselves in the best way that it does grab hold? What do you think we need to do?
I think one of the main things that we need to do first is, as a community, we need to brainstorm some of the things that we liked in this virtual learning environment, and really make a list, maybe send this list out to your school board or some of your teachers, and let them know your opinion, let them know about your feedback, and some things that you love during this virtual environment that that is possible, or that could be integrated into regular school or regular in-person school. And I think that's the first step. That's the first step to really succeeding in this opportunity. And the second step would be for the school board to really review and revise some of these lists, and have a survey, have some sort of diagnostic tool where they can see what things were liked by the majority of students and majority of families, and really focus on brainstorming about next steps, about how teachers could really integrate those things that students and families loved about virtual school into this in-person school environment.
Can I make a comment? I think that what you just said is an amazing idea. In the real world, if you leave something like that to the highest levels, and depends on them to create a survey and ask, like big bureaucracy doesn't like change, because change is hard. I might pose to you guys that you create a survey and you distribute that survey, and you go to the school board with all of everyone in your community's answers and present that to them. And if enough students and enough families want that type of change, like a more democratic, more agency in learning, and the school board sees that 85% of the families in their community really liked that part and want to implement that in the school day, it's hard for them to not implement change. So I would say, if you have time over the summer and were interested, it would be very interesting to create a survey of sorts with all of the pertinent questions, and then create a document with data showing what the community, with the student community, with the parent community, with the teacher, educator community took away that they want to keep, and the things that you lost that weren't working that you don't want back, and present that to them. But there's strength in numbers and data, that schools love data. They will most likely listen. I mean, they'll listen. They may not be able to implement change, but there's a lot greater chance that they would with that data to back what you're saying.
And I'm going to add something to what Marcy so concisely and proactively suggested. I'm going to ask, and you can say no, and you can think about it. Over time, the teen panel went from introductions of each other and describing their situation, and then to offering suggestions, and then we changed it from teen panel to teen panel reconnects. And I will pose, if you would be willing, and it's your answer, no pressure. I would pose perhaps a teens reach out, because you've talked about before how you'd like to, we've met on gift in a bubble, and your desire to reach more young people. And I think this might be the first actionable, relatable and shareable solution format that Marcy has brilliantly laid out. If you would be willing or interested, or think about creating that survey, and not just bringing it to your own schools and communities and teachers, but if you'd be willing to let us, meaning the gift platform, share it, so that the other schools, teachers, regions would have a start. Because as innovators, a lot of times people have good ideas, and it's hard to get off the dime and actually do something. And I'm wondering if not only would you be willing to reach out to your own community, but then if you come up with some type of survey and what you use in your own community, if you would be willing to allow us to make it available to other communities, and the teen panel turning it to reaching out to other communities, schools, educators, districts to use what you might be able to put together? Don't have to answer right now, although I would love a yes. I think everything you've spoken about needs to go out and populate the world. And I think that would be a wonderful first foray into sharing your knowledge, your experience and everything with others and bring them along. It's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think with every tragedy that happens, and I think the pandemic, we can all agree is a tragedy, it also can create huge change, and not all change is worse. And if we can create a new learning environment for students that's better for years to come, then the pandemic wasn't only bad. And I think like you guys are the ones that experienced it, and you have so much value that, you know, from that experience that you can add. But I can also say, like, for my own children who have definite opinions as to how the school year went, it's stuck in their head unless I specifically ask them. And they won't share it independently, but they would share it if asked to share it. And their information is very valuable. So student voice is huge. If they have a platform to share that all across the country, all across the world, and collate that and organize it and see what most people think is important for education that we can bring out of it, I mean, I think that would be amazing. It could really transform education.
Yeah, definitely. So one quote that I really love is, change happens as a society, and change really happens when multiple individuals rise up and want change. And what I would love to encourage audience members and other young teens who have faced this digital, virtual, online learning experience is to really make a list of your experience, and make a list of some things that you've liked and some things that you've disliked, and maybe put that in the YouTube comment section. So me and Kathy could either maybe revise that, read that, and maybe we could be more motivated and encouraged to raise your opinions as much as ours, and really bring that level of change in society and change in the school learning environment, and bring that to our school board, and bring that to school boards around multiple countries that we're from.
I love that idea, Samyak. Definitely, we want to hear your voices as well from all over the world, and we would love to hear what your experiences were. Definitely making a list of what you liked and what you didn't like is a great reflection on how the past year in the virtual setting has went. Perhaps what you even learned from it, what you, I guess, likes and what you didn't like. And of course, even more than that, maybe there's new ideas that we haven't even tried before, neither in the virtual setting or in the in-person setting that you want to see in maybe upcoming years as we try to improve our education system.
So as team panelists, I wanted to share with you as well some of your original panelists who were not able to join you today. Both Rashid and Artash are still interested in continuing the journey with you together. The next gift opportunity is October, and I'll throw it out again. I think it might be that might be a target to gather and share, and we'll of course regroup and continuing interest on all fronts. But your thoughts on that? What do you think about just what you just said, Samyak? You know, just go ahead and start that community. October 16th and 17th, right, from Julie. She just shared that. What do you think about that for a next goal?
I think that sounds like a great idea. I think that would really also help us to really experience at least in the United States, experience like 1 month of school and see if any changes have been made from the virtual to this in-person environment. And that would really help us to even create a much better list of dislikes and likes and areas for improvement and other goals that we have for the future of our education system.
Right, in October also, you would not only be able to reach out virtually as we are right now and in summer courses, but you would have actual people in your space that you could, I don't know, are we allowed to shake hands? I don't know. We're allowed to do sports and whatnot, but you know, so it will broaden your base as well. So Kathy, thoughts?
Yeah, I think I would love that. I think Sam, you just brought up a really good point. For right now, I don't really know what my school board is planning. I don't think they have finalized everything yet, but I would love to see first what we have in September and come back with even more reflections and feedback, I would say. So.
I think it's a good thing that everything's not set in stone. That's when you make change. And as Marcy shared, you know, that's when you actually do grassroots, which is what you've done. We're close to, I don't know, Marcy, if you have a time check. Want to let you guys know how much time you have left?
You have about 2
minutes.
minutes.
2 minutes? Yeah.
So thanks, Jake. About 2 minutes. Closing thoughts and aspirations for us that you would like us to do from each of you, 1 minute each. Samyak and Kathy.
Yeah, so for closing thoughts, I think I just want to repeat something that I said earlier, that I think change really begins when we all put in effort and we all have enough self-discipline and motivation to really put forth some of our hard work and some of our persistence, and really show that either by completing a set of goals or completing a set of tasks. And I really think that if we get your involvement and the adults' involvement in this too, it would be amazing. As adults actually in the real society, I think adults are more valued by the school board and the school teachers, as they're treated in a more higher status. So I think having adults on our side and really with us in this collaborative discussion with the school board would be amazing. And I think I would really encourage right now to encourage your children or some students that you know to write down these likes and dislikes and hopes for the future of the school board.
Yeah, I agree with you, Samyak. I think this conversation, we've come a long way from deepening our conversation and our reflection on our experience with education in this virtual setting. To even today, we got to kind of do a call to action to our viewers here about for action before our next gift, to think about kind of what you like, the pros and cons of the virtual setting, and even more than that, reflecting on what you think perhaps the future of education is for the next generation, and what we learned from this transitioning from the in-person to virtual. Yeah, I think I would love to continue this conversation in our next gift and also offline with the rest of the team panel, and perhaps we would love to connect with more teens from around the world, and also adults as well, to just connect with them and perhaps build a platform for us to share our thoughts and create change together as a larger community. Yeah.
So with gratitude to both of our teens, I think the key words for me moving forward are the call to action is for you two to continue to lead as the youth. I will look to you, Samyak and Kathy, to reach out to Rashid, Nartosh, and Emily Louise. And also I would ask each of the team panelists, and you can relay it to your others, to identify and invite one other team. Doesn't have to be from your country, can be from another country. I would hope it would be. I will commit to being one of the adult, I will call it advocate, because I believe it's critical that you two and the teens retain the leadership role. It's yours. And adults, that's just a word, but advocate or something like that, to be on your team, commit to be on your team. But let's work on the survey type tool in the summer months. If you wish, survey your team and we'll turn it around. You two can survey your team, add some people, and then you come back to us and we will help support you. So you are again in the driver's seat, with gratitude from all of us, I'm sure, mostly me, who I can only speak for me, but I'm sure everyone else as well. And wish you a good summer and excited to continue the journey with your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.